We admire our veterans and we celebrate our sports heroes. Both are tough and brave. But what happens when athletes and military veterans suffer from mental health issues? How can they find help? How can they help each other? Let's talk about it. Welcome to My Healthy Mind. I'm Michael Hunter.
And I'm Elizabeth Atkins.
Every week on My Healthy Mind, we invite guests to talk about mental health issues that people are often reluctant to talk about in public. Our guests include mental health experts, along with people who have triumphed over mental health issues. Today, we're talking about an innovative program that's pairing veterans with athletes to help them heal from depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, addiction, and much more. We'll talk with John Cornack, who is the president of the Eisenhower Center in Ann Arbor, which runs a program called After the Impact. And we'll talk with former Detroit Lions quarterback Eric Hipple, whose experience with depression and suicide inspired him to play a major role in this program.
After the Impact is so successful, it's being replicated across the country. We'll also talk with Brian Price, a former NFL defensive tackle who participates in the program at the Eisenhower Center. We're so excited to tell you about this leading-edge treatment center that is truly changing and saving lives. Please stay with us to learn more on today's My Healthy Mind.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. We're here with John Cornack, president of the Eisenhower Center, and Eric Hipple, former Detroit Lions quarterback and outreach coordinator for After the Impact program. Eric, John, welcome to My Healthy Mind.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Eric, let's start with you. Can you tell us how you went from the football field to such a wonderful program, and perhaps how your personal struggles is now helping athletes down this road?
Well, it was a long road, from after I finished football to being in this position, and a lot of it was a rocky road. And the transition afterwards, I had my own problems, my own issues, had my own attempt, had my a family member die by suicide before I even understood what mental health, focus on depression and what that was. And so through that, looking for avenues and looking for ways to help other players, I figured if I went through this, there's going to be other guys that have gone through this. We started, searching and looking for. We did some work with the NFL Players Association, and what I ended up doing is finding a place that would actually treat people in a care model that made sense and made you feel connected to something. And that was the After the Impact program. That was Eisenhower Center.
Mm-hmm. So, John, can you tell us what is the After the Impact program and who does it help and how?
After the Impact is really about putting a professional athlete together with a veteran. So they're both just top athletes, and they've had a significant traumatic brain injury or an injury to their brain. So they need to have that next set of help. They need to have someone who does behavioral health. So we put them together, and we figured it would make that mix of putting those two together would really help them move forward in their life, find value in their life, find trust again in people around them. So putting those two groups together, those two populations, have been really successful. So it's really just about that. And it started because Eric Hipple came to me. It was at a Legacy. It was one of those fundraisers you go to. And he came in and said, you know, we need to do something other than research. Mm-hmm. We need to have a treatment modality. We need to put together, we need to give someone hope. We need them to give them something that's, you know, tangible. And that's how After the Impact came together. It was really just a very short period of time. But it was an easy decision because it was people that really need our help. So we're just blessed that we have the opportunity to do it.
But does the veteran and the athlete, do they take therapy together? Do they talk? Do they do activities? What do they do?
Well, we try to have them do everything together, right? So they do therapy and group therapy. They do individual therapy. Then they come together again. So we try to have them together as much as we can. And it's because then they find that they have like paths, right? So there's folks who have been at the top of the world. They're having a trouble with their transition into their next life, and they do it together. So we try to have them together in the community. We try to have them together if we go on golf outings or anything. They're with each other all the time. So that's how they really build on each other and how they find, again, that true friendship, and they move forward.
And Eric, when you're recruiting for the program, do you take into account whether or not a veteran or an athlete would do better in that kind of a program versus a program that is strictly for veterans or strictly for athletes?
Here's what I found out was that if I hang out with a bunch of other players together, we'll talk and we'll talk about old times, how things were, but we won't go very deep about the issues and stuff. Sometimes we don't want to share because I see you again at a conference, I see you again out in town. I don't want that to be exposed. Veterans are the same way. When they see each other, hey, I was in Afghanistan. Oh yeah, me too. Hey, Kandahar, yeah, me too. But they don't really talk about their experiences because they still have that. But when you put them together, what happens is I start talking about, well, you were up there. I mean, you're on top of the world. How'd you get down here? And it gives me a chance to say, man, well, here's my story. I got injured. Here's what happened when I left. My family, I lost money. Whatever it might be in that transitional piece. We both wore uniforms. We both had a hierarchy of command. We both have mission-oriented, and we both did a lot of training. And so that commonplace says, okay, that's how you got here. What about you? Do you mind me asking, what happened to you, like over in Afghanistan? And they get a chance now to talk deep and get into a story that maybe they wouldn't share in front of another veteran because they already know it. I don't want to be like a crybaby. That's the stigma around it. But for you, I'll talk to you. And so that makes in that therapy, the team therapy in the morning, the individual therapy when they're walking around, when they're just hanging out at the ranch together, in between things, and maybe sitting around, maybe sharing, video games or something. Just that conversation continues to go, so it lasts not just in front of the therapist, but beyond.
Mm-hmm. So, John, can you tell us why veterans and athletes are such a powerful pairing in more detail? The mindset, the experience, the background.
Well, the mindset for both is they're trained, so they've been told what to do, how to do it, where to go. For their whole life in many instances. So when you have that psyche, they need to find something much like it, right? They still need to have that brotherhood, they still need to have that kinship, but they need to start shifting it back to what were the old values before they were driven, before they had to do something, before it was the next, what do I have to do for you? Because it's really about can we do for each other? What can we then do for others? So we're trying to make that transition back into the world, back into the community. Because where they're failing is in the community. They don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And so that's what the deepness of the program is, that they find that path again, and they find it together. So they'll call each other, they'll call us, and it's not therapeutic anymore after that. It's where they've become part of their communities. And that's really the power of the program.
Eric, John, thank you so much for joining us on My Healthy Mind. You gave us a great model, and mimicking that model is a great compliment to you both. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
After a short break, we'll have Eric back with Brian Price, an NFL defensive tackle who is an After the Impact participant. Don't miss this information that could help save someone you love. We'll be right back.
Welcome to My Healthy Mind, a show that dares to talk about mental health, addiction, abuse, domestic violence, depression. Have these challenges affected you? Watch My Healthy Mind every Sunday at noon on TV 20. Let's talk about it.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. We're here with Eric Hipple and Brian Price, a former NFL defensive tackle with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is receiving help through the Eisenhower Center. Brian, welcome to My Healthy Mind.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us what was going on in your life that led you down the path that ended at the Eisenhower Center with the After the Impact program?
Well, growing up, I lost my first brother to gang violence when I was in the 3rd grade. And my oldest brother, Damon, got killed when I was in the 8th grade. And, I decided to start playing football. And after I got drafted, 2 years into my NFL career, my sister got killed in a car accident. And, she was my number one fan, my biggest fan. And I just didn't know how to handle it. It was the 3rd time it happened. And growing up, I used to look at my dad. And so I got the impression that real men don't cry. And so I never shared my emotions. And when she got killed, I just lost it and ended up getting in a fight with my teammate. But most importantly, I was just so depressed. Depression paralyzes you. I was, afraid to go to sleep at night because in LA, bad things happen at nighttime. And so I'll stay up all night and I'll sleep all day. And I just couldn't handle it. And, I started to numb the pain. I started abusing pain medicine. I started off with 2, and then eventually I got up to 20 at a time. And I was like, man, I have a problem. And it came to a point that I did not like the man that I seen in the mirror. I couldn't stand myself because I knew that I was better than what I was doing. I always told myself, I have a reason to be the way that I am, but I don't have a reason to stay this way. And so I was like, I have to do something about it. And it was just crazy. I made a phone call to the NFLPA, and she mentioned Eisenhower, and, they really talked great about this place. I was like, I'll check it out.
So, Brian, when you got there and you met your veteran partner, what was that like?
Andy is, a vet, and Andy is the coolest guy ever. He has a help dog, and so Sage is her name, and he gets mad when I feed her, But, everybody, it's like family, because when you're not playing football anymore, you get used to that team atmosphere. I grew up without my brothers, and so I always wanted that big brother, and I turned to the streets for that, just like a lot of young kids. They started gang banging, and, I fell into that for a little bit. But to have that camaraderie again and that brotherhood again, that meant the world to me.
And Eric, is his story typical or atypical for the program?
I can't use the word typical, but I'll say this, the symptoms are very much the same. In other words, not being able to sleep, fear of sleep, not feeling good about themselves, risky behavior, getting involved in stuff, some sort of, self-medication and stuff. So that's very common, not only with players, but also with the veterans as well. And so that's another common area. The thing is, we all have a story, and that's what's really important, right? And being able to share it and be able to work it out together, I think is why these two things worked really well.
Mm-hmm. So, Brian, earlier you talked about how you watched your father and you learned that real men don't cry. So there's a stigma when a man does want to reach out and say, I'm hurting, I need help. What was your thought process in that final moment when you said, okay, I'm going to do this?
When you're tired, I just got tired of just being tired. You know what I'm saying? Just waking up having nothing to do. Like, my days consist of nothing. And I was like, man, I'm better than this. like, what am I doing? I tried to give myself pep talks all the time. I go in the mirror, like, try to slap myself or do something like, yo, wake up, and I was like, I have to do something now. I'm still young, I'm 26. I cannot let this define me. And I also tell myself I'm delayed, but I'm not denied.
And Eric, Brian came to you through a referral source through the NFL. How does the veteran find their way to the program?
In different ways. Some maybe through the VA that's having difficult repeat person. They don't know behaviorally what to do with them, especially if you start throwing TBI in top of it. But also there's foundations out there that are doing things for veterans as well. And as a treatment model, they don't know what to do with behavioral cases either. What do we do with this guy who's feeling this way, and we can't classify him? Then we get those referrals from them as well.
And what do you use for criteria for pairing the specific veteran with the specific athlete?
We really don't. We don't try and match up by this personality or this diagnostic or this. We don't do that. We put them together in a group, and what it really ends up happening is they end up kind of finding each other. But it's the really group therapy, I think, when in the mornings when they're all together is when this stuff comes out, and I think that's where I think that opens up, right? When guys kind of find, oh yeah, I might have something similar to that. Yeah.
I gravitated to Andy. Yeah, he's a world-class role model. And to know that you can come from a dark place and to shine bright again, just like it gives anyone hope. And it gave me hope, you know what I'm saying? Like, we really look out for each other. And so that's like my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like a brother from another mother and father, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good, it's all love.
Eric and Brian, stick around. We're going to talk a little more after this break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to My Healthy Mind, a show that dares to talk about mental health matters that touch nearly every family, yet many find difficult to talk about. Addiction, abuse, domestic violence, depression, alcoholism, suicide. Have these challenges affected you? Each week you'll meet guests who share their stories, hear from local experts, and learn about resources that may help. Watch My Healthy Mind every Sunday at noon on TV 20. Let's talk about it.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Welcome back. We're talking with Eric Hipple and Brian Price. Here on My Healthy Mind, we showcase people like you who refuse to let devastating challenges stop them from living their best lives. So we're so excited to have you here. Brian, can you tell us where you are now and what the future holds?
The future holds some great things. My story is far from finished, but I know your will will take you wherever you want to go. And at first, when I was down and out, I felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. But after the Impact program, now I see that light. When I look at my baby girl, I just, I have to get it right. I have to do something great, like, what's my legacy? I want to leave my mark on this earth. My wife is amazing. She's my unicorn. And my daughter, she's beyond this world. She's great. And so I have to do something to make sure they're okay.
Mm-hmm. How old is your daughter?
She'll be 3 on the 25th.
Oh, and why do you call your wife a unicorn?
I never thought I'd be in love before. I'd never been in love. And the moment I saw her, she walked through the door, and I thought it was like a a hair commercial. You know, her hair was blowing in the wind. You know, the room paused and she was the only thing moving, you know, and it's like she was levitating towards me, and I was just like, man. And from the very first date, you know, we was at a red carpet event, we was eating dinner, and she was eating from my plate. I was like, oh yeah, she's the one right here. She's a keeper. But yeah, she's my unicorn. She's my mythical creature. Like she made me a better person. She making me a better man, and she's so unreal. She's beyond this world, and she's so beautiful. You know, I guess I'm so lucky. I look in the mirror, I'm like, man, I'm ugly. You know, no, I'm just playing. But you know, no, she compliments my swag. You know, but she just makes me a better person. You find a lot of people in this world, you know, they get with people that make them worse. But you know, I never wanted to get married. You know, especially at a young age. You know, I wanted to enjoy the NFL experience, and but God had other plans, and I'm so grateful for that. You know, and I paired with somebody that is really sticking with me through thick and thin, and really wants me to win. You know, she's amazing. You know, I wish she was here right now. You know, it's you know, I met something in life that really tried to break me down. You know, I was knocked to my knees, and I could have stayed down there, but my wife was next to me to help me get up and to keep fighting, and that's more than I can ask for. It's hard to do it alone.
And Eric, what advice would you give other athletes and veterans who are struggling with mental illness, addiction, or physical injury, who need some support in their life? Where would they go for help? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, everyone has a story. And it's not the stories that they might shape us, but they really don't define us. What defines us is what we decide to do about them. You know, and so whether it's a support from somebody to kind of lead you in the right direction, whether it's a program that can actually surround somebody with a care model that helps them, you know, move forward into it. But it's their decision to say, I want to advocate for myself. He asked for help. He had somebody who might have led him in the right direction. We had a program that was available for him. And I would say that's the same case for anybody that's out there that might be hurting or suffering. I don't care if it's life events before, if it's childhood, if it's afterwards, if it's transition, if it's from head injury, if it's from injury in itself, you know, PTSD. But those things in itself, they have solutions to them, and there is treatment available. And it's a matter of advocating for yourself and reaching forward. And there's some great outcomes.
So Eric and Brian, can you leave our viewers with some words of inspiration to get help and know that help works and you can live your best life despite what you've gone through?
Like Rocky said, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and get back up and fight. You know, and I really take that serious because life threw me lemons. And instead of pouting about it, you know, I made lemonade with it, and then I threw them back. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to have a little fight in you. And you got to, you know, you cannot accept no. You know, you got to tell yourself, you know, I will what I want. And you got to be hungry. You know, I knew that I wanted better, and I knew that I was better. And so I had to do better. Never quit. You know, I cannot be a role model to my little nephews knowing that I gave up on the biggest fight of my life. Or even my daughter, you know, she looks at, I'm her Superman, you know, I'm her dad, I can do no wrong. She loves me so much. And like, I cannot give up on her and quit on her. And so that's my motivation. You got to have something that motivates you. You know, once you find that one thing or two things that motivate you, man, you'll be unstoppable. And that's just, you got to have a game plan. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any one thing to say, here's the inspiration behind all this stuff, but I do believe this, that, you know, we are given this wonderful brain that is built on problem solving. You know, the more positive we are, it's a big feedback loop. So who we are, so the choices that we make reflect on the next choice that we do make. And if we understand that, okay, and kind of follow that along and be in the moment, not worried about the future, not worried about the past, but be in the moment and accept that, then I think it opens the doors to what we really need to do, which is keep moving and keep going forward.
Eric and Brian, thank you so much for sharing with us today about After the Impact. You're going to have a great impact on our viewers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. so he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Okay, Simon, what do people wear?
Clothes.
That's right, so it's important to learn how to dress yourself. Here's how it's done. Shirt, underwear, pants, socks, shoes. Underwear, always first, name tag on the back. Then pants and shirt. Go ahead and put this on. Now with the shirt, you want to make sure the first button's right or you have to start all over again, okay? Socks left on left, right on right. Tying the shoes, we're gonna take the laces, we're gonna cross them over, we're gonna turn around where the bunny goes down in the hole, pull it tight, and bunny ears. Got it?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
That's our show for this week. We want to thank John Kornack, president of the Eisenhower Center, which runs the After the Impact program.
And we also want to thank Eric Hipple, who is the coordinator of the After Impact program and former Detroit Lions quarterback.
And we're thankful that Brian Price, the former NFL linebacker, joined us as well to share his story.
Elizabeth, what did you take away from today's show?
I thought it was very powerful that soldiers and athletes are some of the most masculine images that we have in society, and real men don't cry, according to the myth. But these men are very courageously saying, yes, we do cry, and yes, we need help, and they're helping each other, and they're inspiring other people to get the help that they need. I thought that was so powerful.
I was really moved, honestly, by the structure of the program itself. The fact that athletes and veterans are being paired together for therapy, overcoming post-traumatic stress syndrome or whatever their injury in life was or the transition in life. I think that was genius because now you have both of them coming together in a safe space, no competition, the playing field is level. I admire you because you fought for our country and worked to save our lives. And I admire you because I watched you play, I watched the entertainment value. I think that was so powerful to put those two together, and I think this is going to be a great program.
It was phenomenal.
Before we close today, we want to remind you that no topics about mental health and wellness are off limits on our show. What do you want us to talk about? Contact us and let us know.
Be sure to visit us on Facebook and Twitter and on our website, myhealthymind.com. There you'll find helpful resources and links to view other My Healthy Mind shows. When you contact us, rest assured that we keep your information private. We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you again for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.